Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Nitzavim Vayelech, a double parsha that brings us very close to the end of the reading of the 5 books of Moses. We're not that far from Simchat Torah, though we of course have a journey to travel, a very intense journey over the next couple of weeks, as we observe and practice the traditions of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and the Zaman Simchatenu of Sukkot. However, today I do not want to talk about the Torah reading per se, but rather something else that is very timely for us, particularly here in the United States, on the morning after President Barack Obama's speech to a joint session of Congress last night regarding his proposals for universal health care and how, through his vision, the quality of life for all Americans has the capacity to be improved. Last night's speech was passionate and clearly defined a vision for the country. I don't think there's anyone among us who would not like to see a better quality of health care for all Americans. Yet there was one point in what was a very serious and important speech where the president got a chuckle. Most members of Congress started laughing when the president said, in essence, that the devil is in the details, and that there were still details to be worked out in committee. Every public speaker, or at least most public speakers, know that it's important to get a laugh out of the audience at least once in a presentation, provided that, of course, it's not a solemn and sober moment. A good laugh line in a Shabbat morning drasha can help reel in the congregation and keep them focused on the message that the rabbi is trying to deliver. But in the case of the president's speech last night, we were reminded of a lesson that is so timely to the journey that we Jews are traveling these very days leading up to Rosh Hashanah, nearing the end of the month of Elul. And to paraphrase the president again, the devil is in the details. In last week's Haftorah, we chanted the verse, Va'amech kulam tzadikim, and your nation, everyone is a tzaddik, everyone is righteous. Such a profoundly positive and uplifting verse that it is used in Pirkei Avot as a preamble to every parak, to every chapter. Yet, do we look around ourselves, our families, our towns, our congregations, our schools, and do we look at every person we meet and say, oh, there's another tzaddik. Va'amech kulam tzadikim. Everyone's righteous. It's how we might want others to view ourselves. But deep down, we know where we are weak. We know where we are frail. We know where we need to be working on tikkun olam internally, self-improvement. And surely there is improvement that needs to be done all around. That we need to improve ourselves, though, doesn't take away from the potential of righteousness that exists within all of us. When the prophet said, Va'amech kulam tzadikim, he was looking not only at the moment as it was, but also at the potential that he saw waiting to blossom, waiting to flourish, waiting to come out from each and every person. It's a little bit like a child that brings home a paper from school and it's marked with a B+. Every reasonable parent knows to be proud and supportive of a child who brings home a paper with an 88 or an 89. But most parents know that the average student with a little bit more push, with a little bit more attention to the detail, could have turned that B+ into an A. Because any child, or almost any child, who can make an 89 could also make a 91 or a 92. Not that 3 points or 4 points on the paper is the difference between how sincere our children are as students. But the devil is in the details. And it's the willingness to address the fine points, what some who don't want to be bothered might call the minutiae, where excellence is found. Last night, President Obama challenged the Congress to work with expedience, to find a way to bring health care to the greatest number of Americans possible. Will the first rough draft be perfect? Probably not. Will a bill that might one day soon pass Congress be perfect? Probably not. But then again, I've lost track of how many times I've come to Shul for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, ready to present myself for approval and passage into a new year, knowing that I still had more work to do on myself, more internal devils to address, to challenge, and to conquer. But the fact that there is still work to be done doesn't take away from the greatness of the moment. America is now on the threshold of an exciting opportunity. And whether the bill passes as quickly as the president wishes or whether it takes a little bit longer, at least Congress and the public now have attention focused on a very important issue. And so too for us as Bnei Yisrael, on the eve of the Yomim Noraim, our attention is being focused on issues that are very important to us. It's important to remember that we need not be perfect by the time the shofar is blown on the upcoming holiday. But what is important to remember is Amech Kulam Tzadikim. The potential for righteousness and greatness exists within every one of us. There's no timetable or schedule through which we are supposed to find the answers to all of the questions and cross the finish line in first place. But it is a time to recognize that there is work that all of us can do. And with a little bit of creative thinking, we can realize the message of the prophet, what he said, Va'amech kulam tzadikim, there is righteousness in everyone. And at the very least, I suggest that one way to begin beating the details out of the devil is to look in the mirror, take pride in what we see, look in the mirror and see a tzaddik ready to blossom, a righteous person, a good person, ready to take one small step forward. And we will find success in the coming year, blessing in the coming year, but most importantly, we will find contentment in ourselves with a renewed awareness that there is no goal that we can't challenge if we simply realize that we are bigger than any of the devils that try to haunt us. Shana Tova.